This article got sent to me, and it was such a perfect representation of the last article where I'm saying it's always for everyone else, but not for me. You know what I mean? And this woman said, Returnal, why games need more badass middle-aged women. So women in video games are young and sexy or old and wise, but a character who's built up the strength and confidence and experience, sign me up. So you almost have to respect the hustle of women at this point, where they can do this grandiose grandstanding, tie it in with social justice, and you're like, what's your theory? Well, this is just a coincidence, but we need fucking more of what I am. Also, you should think we're hot. Haven't they learned their lesson about fucking with video games?
So crazy. Honestly, I find it so hard to relate sometimes because I don't play video games anymore. But I never, when I played video games, go, you know what's missing in video games?
Fat.
Me.
Gay.
Just, I want to, where am I represented in video games?
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to be like LeBron James, like playing as LeBron James. And
right.
People are like, why can't I be me in this?
Even Danny, when Danny does VR porn, he makes himself LeBron James. I bought Returnal, a video game from developer, without knowing a thing about it. None of that mattered because I was buying it for the gameplay. I wasn't buying it for the gameplay. I was buying it because of its protagonist, Celine, who's an ordinary character. She's agile, capable, smart. Your character is so fucking smart. Facing a seemingly insurmountable challenge. But she's middle-aged. I finally get to see myself in a video game. It's funny she announced that she goes, hey, I actually didn't buy this video game because I like video games or liking to play it. I bought it because of.
And it would be funny if she's like, yeah, and I bought this game. I didn't have the console, so after I bought the console and after my husband helped me set it up, I got to playing.
People tend to not pay me much mind because I lack the one thing that would make me relevant to them: children, whether they mean to or not. The second someone discovers I don't have kids, they recoil slightly, not out of disgust or out of confusion. What does one speak to a 50-year-old woman about if not her kids?
Video games.
What?
Video games.
Video games. But also, that's like, you're right. If you're in a small town, and most people probably just hang out with their family in tiny friend group. So, yeah. But if you are 50 and you live in like a major city, no one cares. We know plenty of those.
Of course.
But yes, if you are like an older woman that lives in the middle of nowhere and you don't have kids, like, you better be a librarian real quick.
Get those glasses up.
Yeah, you better be a teacher or a librarian or no one's going to give a shit. It's an attitude that's replicated across characters in video games. Women in games typically are young, sexy, and older and wise. You go, why is that? Unless they're villains, of course, which they're sexy and evil. Tropes make better characters, so yeah. Also, like, this... they're like, we don't need to have stereotypes and all that stuff. You know what? I was thinking about women, because women are like really against stereotypes, but they're always like, the South, you know, what about them? They're like, all people from the South are inbred and like,
of course, yeah, they're like, yeah.
Just as funny, like the worst stereotype. What's the worst things you could do right now? Other than being a pedophile, maybe like being like you fuck your family and you're racist.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. Incestual racist.
Yeah, whereas the stereotype to her is just like boring. You're like an old 50-year-old bitch, like, you're boring.
Yeah, you're like, nobody cares about you anymore.
There's also the other idea that was making me laugh, that, you know, women are very like, don't judge the past, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, never talk about, you know, you shouldn't judge my past. But then girls are like, hey, you need to apologize for like what happened in this country 500 years ago. Yeah. So girls are like, hey, Ryan, you need to apologize for what people in this country that you don't even have ancestors in. I'm the first one of my ancestors to live in America, but you should be apologizing for what happened.
Yeah, I'm busy apologizing for what's going on in Canada.
500 years ago. And yeah, for you, but you go, but I can't ask about what you did in college. I can't ask you what you did with who you dated right before me. Yeah. That's supposed to be off no one's business. How many dicks you sucked in my friend group?
Like, apologize for all those dicks you sucked, and I'll apologize for colonialism.
Yeah, I'm the first one of my entire lineage that lived in America. But you are right. They apologize for people in Canada. You go, well, make up your mind. I'm responsible for the stuff in Canada or the stuff in America.
Can't be everything.
But not both.
Well, you're actually responsible for all the bad things on Earth. Technically.
Yeah.
Technically.
Anyways, isn't that funny? She goes, imagine that. So they're talking about Laura Croft, and she says that Laura Croft is smart and young, but it's unfair because Lauren Croft's not going to age, where they think that like gradually Lauren Croft as a character should just be kind of old now. Imagine then what Laura would be like as a person 30 years after the first adventure. What would decades of adventures taught her? What if they, you know how people get mad when they sort of swap out characters with other characters? How do you think people would feel if Laura Croft now in the new game is 70? Instead of being hot, she's 70.
And it's like she's slow. Like the game's just so much slower.
She's got saggy ass tits, but she's so fucking wise.
Oh, she's so wise.
She's so wide. What friends had made her think, and what frenemies? Yeah, they usually don't age the characters, but well, I've got an idea for her. Go make your video game about a 70-year-old and see how it does.
Sure, we'll do great.
There's
a funny thing in her thing where she goes, I don't know if you're gonna get there, but she's like, if you're rapidly typing out a comment about how women don't play games or they only play Candy Crush, save it. There's only a 2% difference in the number of men and women my age playing video games. I was like, no, there's not.
Yeah.
No, there's not. Like,
you think so?
Yeah, you think there's only a 2% difference between 50-year-old men and women playing video games? I've never even heard of a 50-year-old woman.
My mom's never played a video game in her
I don't
life.
know a single one or heard of one. Like, whenever you hear it, it like sears into your brain because it's such a rare thing.
Yeah, you're like, shut up. No, you don't.
Yeah, you're like, it's not 2%. It's like that.
A 2% difference.
There's only a 2% difference. The same amount of men and women 50 years old play video games.